The best AI tools aren't tools at all. Still chasing features? Because here's what Aria Castellan figured out 3 years ago. Data streams reflecting in those translucent glasses of hers. Completely calm while the rest of us panicked about which AI to choose. She wasn't testing features. She was testing something she called decision resilience. And when I finally understood what she meant, everything about evaluating AI changed for me. Everything. Let me explain what's actually happening right now. You're comparing AI tools the same way you compared phones in 2010. Screen size, camera megapixels, battery life. Except AI isn't a device. It's a decision-making partner, and most people are evaluating their decision-making partner by counting how many tricks it can do. That's like choosing a financial advisor based on how fast they can type. Here's the struggle nobody wants to admit. You've tried 4 different AI tools this month. Maybe 5. ChatGPT for writing, Claude for analysis, Perplexity for research, Gemini because someone said it's better at reasoning. And you know what happened? You're spending more time deciding which AI to use than you spent on the original task. Decision fatigue about your decision-making tools. The irony is almost beautiful. Aria saw this coming. She told me once, those AR glasses flickering with probability distributions, that the future isn't about having access to intelligence. It's about having a reliable framework for deploying it. And the framework almost nobody talks about, the one that separates people who get value from AI and people who just collect subscriptions, she calls it the banking test. Not banking like finance. Banking like trust, like putting something valuable in a vault and knowing, absolutely knowing, it'll be there when you need it. Because here's what's bigger than you realize. By 2026, the average knowledge worker isn't drowning in tasks anymore. They're drowning in AI outputs they don't trust enough to use. You're not behind because you haven't learned enough AI tools. You're behind because you haven't learned which AI to bank on. And the cost of getting this wrong? Jordan Mills found out the hard way. Jordan came to me 6 months ago with that worry. Line between the eyebrows carved so deep it looked permanent. Smart person. Capable. Curious about AI, but drowning in options. Had subscriptions to 7 different AI platforms. 7. Spending maybe $200 a month on this awakening, this transformation everyone promised. And here's what was actually happening in Jordan's day. Morning coffee, open laptop, start writing a client proposal. Stop. Which AI writes better proposals? Spend 8 minutes reading comparison articles. Choose ChatGPT. Write prompt. Get output. It's good, but feels generic. Maybe Claude is better at professional writing? Copy prompt to Claude. Compare outputs. Now it's been 25 minutes and there are 2 different drafts, and Jordan can't remember which points came from where. And that worry line is getting deeper. Lunch break. Client asks for market research. Jordan thinks, perfect, AI is amazing at research. But which one? Perplexity is supposed to be the research specialist. But Gemini just updated with better data analysis. Spend 15 minutes testing both. Get different answers. Now Jordan has to research the research to figure out which AI researched correctly. The tool meant to save time is burning it. Week after week, every single task becoming a meta-task about tool selection. The awakening Jordan wanted. That moment of finally leveraging AI felt further away, despite spending hours daily with these tools. And here's the specific moment everything changed. Jordan was on a video call with me, sharing green, showing me this workflow of constant tool switching. And I asked one question. Just one. Jordan, if you had to trust only one AI for 30 days, stake your professional reputation on its outputs, which would you choose right now? Silence. That worry line deepening, because Jordan realized the answer was none. Wasn't trusting any of them, was using all of them as a hedge against anyone being wrong. 7 AI subscriptions as insurance against 0 AI confidence. That's when I explained the banking test. Aria's framework. 3 questions, brutally simple, that reveal whether an AI tool is actually valuable or just impressive. First question. Consistency. If you ask this AI, The same question 3 times, 3 different ways. Do you get 3 compatible answers or 3 different personalities? Because you can't bank on volatility. You need to know that your decision-making partner has a stable reasoning process, not a random response generator. Second question, correction. When this AI is wrong and you point it out, does it defensively justify or genuinely recalibrate? The AIs you can bank on treat correction as data. The ones you can't treat correction as criticism. And here's what Jordan discovered testing this. Most AI tools are shockingly bad at admitting mistakes. They'll confidently defend hallucinations rather than say, I was wrong, here's why. Third question, the one that matters most. Compounding. Does this AI get better at helping you specifically over time, learning your context, your standards, your goals? Or does every conversation start from zero? Because you don't bank with an institution that forgets you exist every morning. Jordan spent one afternoon, just one, running these 3 tests across all 7 AI subscriptions. Same complex work question asked 3 ways to each. Then pointing out a deliberate error to see how each responded. Then asking each AI to reference something from a previous conversation. The results were shocking. 4 of the 7 failed consistency completely. 3 couldn't handle correction without doubling down. 5 showed 0 compounding, 0 memory, 0 personalization. Jordan was spending $200 monthly on tools that couldn't pass a basic trust framework. But one did. For Jordan, it was Claude. Consistent reasoning across rephrasings, graceful correction when challenged, and with projects, genuine compounding of context. Your answer might be different. That's fine. That's the point. The banking test isn't about which AI wins. It's about which AI you can bank on. Jordan canceled 5 subscriptions that day. Went deep with one. And here's what measurably changed. Time spent choosing which AI to use dropped to 0. Time spent second-guessing AI outputs cut by 70%. Time actually saved by AI. Finally real. That worry line, still there but shallower. The awakening wasn't about accessing more intelligence. It was about banking on less, better. So here's your one action. Open whichever AI you use most right now. Ask it one meaningful question about your actual work. Then ask the same question 2 more times, rephrased. Are the 3 answers compatible? Now tell it one thing it got wrong. Even if you have to make something up, does it defend or recalibrate? That's it. 5 minutes. You'll immediately know if you've been banking on something trustworthy or just something impressive. Because impressive AI is everywhere in 2026. Trustworthy AI, the kind you can actually bank on, the kind that turns subscriptions into breakthroughs, is rare. And now you know how to find it. You're not behind. But after the next video, you will be if you wait.